Hey, what's up, everybody? I know we haven't had a podcast in a little bit here. Before I start this episode, I'm in the middle of moving right now. If you guys have been following GSL and ASL, I'm basically casting every day. I'll be moving in a week from when this podcast is posted. And after I get my new place set up, we'll be back to doing the podcast out of the Core studio. So I'm excited to be doing that. I'm also going to be building a stream room in my new apartment. So I'll be doing a lot more streaming. A lot of exciting stuff to come. But let's talk about this new announcement. Frost Giant is here. These are ex-Blizzard employees, people that worked on StarCraft 2 and some that worked on Warcraft 3. They're making a new AAA RTS game. Now, I've known about this for a little while. Obviously, I've had a very good relationship with Blizzard for a long time. And I knew that they were not going to be making an RTS anytime in the future. Even though a lot of people at Blizzard wanted to do that, they couldn't get it green-lighted by Activision. And so now, these people that worked on StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 have made their own studio. And yeah, they're making a AAA RTS. And I could not be more excited. They've told me, because I've been able to meet with them before this announcement came out, they want this to be the spiritual successor to Blizzard RTS games. And they have all the right people. I mean, I know tons of people at Blizzard. They've got the right people now in Frost Giant to make, I think, a really exciting RTS game. Now, the company has just been formed. The game hasn't been made yet, so we don't know a lot about it. I mean, we don't even know if it's going to be like a sci-fi RTS game or, you know, some kind of modern warfare RTS game or fantasy or whatever. I don't know. But look, man, I mean, if you're like me and you love RTS, you know, this is basically the hardest genre to make because of the complexity of the game. And look, I mean, let's be frank. Most RTS games suck. Most RTS games are just not good, especially from a multiplayer competitive level. But Blizzard, or the people that were at Blizzard, always had the formula. If you look at their RTS games, I mean, let's go all the way back. I mean, Warcraft 2 is actually a better RTS game multiplayer than most modern RTSs today. Obviously, Warcraft 3 and both the StarCrafts, you know, they are the legendary RTS games. And yeah, I think these people are going to usher in the new era. And I'm excited. They've told me there's going to be esports that they want to support with this, which is great. So there's going to be a competitive scene. And they've also told me in conversations, they're very focused on having this be accessible to beginners. They don't want to compromise the competitive RTS gameplay, but like as an example, Tim Morton, who's leading the project, I remember talking to him 6 months ago, and one of the things he was pointing out was like, you know, one of the problems with StarCraft 2 campaign is that it teaches you nothing about multiplayer. In fact, it actually teaches you bad habits. If you try to, you know, go through the entire campaign and think, okay, I'm ready to now play against people, the experience is completely different. So they're really interested in trying to have something where there could be more educational tools inside the game and a way to really to learn. And I think that's great because, you know, the hurdle for RTS has always been the difficulty in playing it. At the same time, that's why RTS games are played for so long, is because unlike most games, RTS games, when made correctly, tend to age like wine. I mean, look at StarCraft 2 right now. It's in the best state it's ever been. The game's going to be better. Look at Brood War right now. I mean, the meta is absolutely incredible. And so this is going to be a next generation RTS that I think everybody can get on board with. It's going to be awesome. Another exciting part of this is that we now know more about RTS games than ever before. Like what makes them work. You know, you can go back and study StarCraft 1 and 2 and Warcraft 3 and really see what went there. And I'm curious to see how they're going to innovate on it and what features from the previous Blizzard games they're going to be taking and what's going to be new here. I'm also excited because if you go back and look at the history of esports, there's basically three major booms that happened. So the first big boom in esports was StarCraft 1 in South Korea. That was where we started to see infrastructure form around this. And I know a lot of you guys will be saying, what about Quake? Quake was big, but it didn't birth the type of infrastructure that we saw in South Korea, with televised games, with major Korean companies sponsoring teams, and the level of celebrity that professional gamers achieved. The second big boom was StarCraft 2, which caused global esports. And also the birth of Twitch in a lot of ways. People were streaming StarCraft. A lot of people forget about this, but StarCraft 2 was the game that got big on Twitch, and people started watching games there. And then League of Legends was the next big boom, which I think proved to have very successful global infrastructure in esports. But, with StarCraft 2, there was a lot of experimentation with how do you implement a good global esports scene. I think there were a lot of mistakes made early on with WCS. I know it was a real adventure for us at GSL trying to figure out, every step of the way. But, that was over 10 years ago. Now esports is bigger than ever. There's plenty of games that are claiming they're going to be esports before they're even that type of model has been tested, for instance. But I think now with a new game on the way, I think we can do esports right. I mean, StarCraft 2 esports is still awesome, but there were a lot of bumps in the road. As someone who was there from the very beginning, a lot of stuff could have been handled better. The people that are at Frost Giant, they're smart, they're passionate, and they love esports. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in the future. And, look, I'm going to keep playing StarCraft. I love that game too, but it's good to have a new RTS come in here because then we can all start at the same time trying to learn it. And that's one of the funnest things to do when a new game comes out that you can be competitive in. So I think we're going to see people coming from every corner and joining in. And it's going to be really excited. And I'm really curious to see, where we can grow as far as RTS goes because it is such a complex genre. And it seems to me like these are the people that can actually pull it off. One of the advantages that Frost Giant has is that the people that are working on it really get community. I mean, when I would work with Blizzard in the past, one of the things that was so great about them is they do listen. They are engaged with the people that are making content around their games, with the pro gamers that are playing their games. And these are the same people that are now at Frost Giant. I mean, a lot of game companies can be very opaque, I guess you could say, or very detached from their communities. But in this case, I mean, they're interested in interviewing people like Dan and me, other professional gamers, other community members. So this is really exciting because, when you look at, for instance, StarCraft, it's more than just the game itself. It's the people around it that make it. And I know they've been talking to the other major community figures in RTS. So I think, when this thing comes out, it's going to be really exciting. So if you guys are like me, you're probably wondering a lot of stuff. Like the thing I'm most curious about right now. By the way, this is not an easy podcast for me to record because I'm so excited thinking about this that I actually want to get up and pace around my house because my thoughts are going so fast. But I'm really curious how they're going to deal with the economy management in game. This is always, for me, the most important part of an RTS. Now, if you look at the two StarCrafts and Warcraft 3, I think they have the most unique and sophisticated ways of dealing with economy. I mean, in Warcraft 3, the way that each of the races mine is and get resources is totally different and very unusual. I mean, it was a really brave move that they pulled there. And I think in StarCraft, which for me, I still think is the best way to watch an economy, the fact that you need so many workers, I think that's what makes the game exciting is it really means something when you see a bunch of scarabs blow up SCVs. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with resource management. I know they've also been looking at a lot of other new RTSs. They are billions, by the way, which is, I think, not on a multiplayer level, but just as a single-player RTS game, probably the best RTS that's been put out. I think it's really challenging. It's smart. I know they've been looking around at a lot of different games. So I'm excited. I'm curious. I wonder also how many races is there going to be? Is there going to be 2? Is there going to be 3? Is there going to be 4? Is it going to be 5? I don't know. Or maybe it won't operate like that. I'm curious. I mean, my instinct is also my bias, right? Like everything I think of is like you have to have the StarCraft resource management. You have to have 3 races because balancing 4 is too hard. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with this. But honestly, man, for RTS, this is the best news that we can have. You know, I thought it's funny when I started working. Actually, let's go all the way back. When I started playing StarCraft, people were always weirded out. Why am I playing a game that's that old? Mind you, StarCraft 2 is not even out. And I was telling them, this is the best game. I don't want to go to another game because this game has tons of active people. And there's still stuff I'm learning about it. The game is beautiful. Then we go, I moved to Korea. I'm trying to get work out here. I knew StarCraft 2 was coming, which is one of the reasons why I moved out here. But even a year or two into StarCraft 2, people would say, well, how long are you really going to do this for? And I would say, no, I'm going to do this for a long time. Because, RTS games age well. That's worked out very well, by the way. GSL over 10 years old. And then, I always assumed that if there was a StarCraft 2 coming out, there would be a StarCraft 3, right? I mean, that's not the craziest thing to think of, especially a game that's basically, or I shouldn't say a game, a company that has a monopoly on the entire genre of RTS. So I always thought StarCraft 3 would eventually come out. I thought it'd be out around now, to be totally honest. I mean, StarCraft 2 was announced, 10 years after StarCraft 1 was released? So I was always banking on that. And of course, in the last few years, I was bummed out to discover that Blizzard basically wasn't allowed to release a new RTS. But now with this team, this is really exciting, man. And I think we should get behind these guys and give them the support. Spread the word. Let's get hype. And I think we should all start discussing, what do we really want in the new future RTS, because I think these guys are going to do a great job. I'm very optimistic. And, these are the RTS people, okay? The people that make RTS games, the ones that you actually want to play all the time. So, yeah, man, very exciting. I guess let's start that conversation. Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We will have new episodes of the podcast coming out. I just got to move. I'm really tied up right now between all the ASL and GSL casts. For those of you supporting me on Patreon, I really appreciate it. We will be back and going hard once I get my life in order. And again, a new stream room is going to be built in the new apartment. I'm getting a dope new streaming PC. We've got the Halloween stream coming up. We're going to be playing the new Amnesia game. So if you want to join me on Twitch, that'll be on October 30th, 1 p.m. at 1 p.m. KST. Come hang with me there at Tasteless TV on Twitch. Yeah, man. The future is good. I'm fucking hype.